Yeah, that's right. I see the chat. I see y'all rocking. I see y'all coming. Hit that like button as you enter the building. You know what I'm saying? Hit that like button. Show your love. Show your support. You know what I'm saying? This that dope soul. This that new thing. Nobody don't know about it.
Hello, Knick family. Welcome to the Just Knickin' It pop-up show. I'm your host, Stephanie, aka Queen, and as always, we have a lot to talk about. Before we get into the OKC game and the ramifications of it and whether this is roster issue, attitude issues, I just want to talk about a few things. I think, part of the fan base anger, and I mean us collectively, is how we lost to OKC. And I think that's fair. And we're going to talk more about it. But I also think the other part of our anger and angst is because of our high and, in my opinion, unrealistic expectations of the Knicks before they even played one game. And that's on us. We betted in Boston. We're going to win 60 games. The Knicks hadn't even played one game. Championships aren't won on paper. They're won by going through hardship, melding together, forging a core, so to speak, not just putting a core together, but going through some things and forging a core by going through and getting through adversity. That's how championships are won. So, and like I said, we'll get into the OKC game. I think the anger and the angst and whatever we're feeling about that game is legitimate. But I also think a big part of the restlessness in the fan base is because our expectations was probably too high for a team that was just put together in the offseason, right? Almost all, maybe even all championship teams, particularly NBA championship teams, have been through some shit. You don't just throw a team together and all of a sudden they win a chip that same year. You got to go through it. I've been watching basketball since the 80s. I remember Isaiah Thomas, Larry Bird stealing an inbound pass from him. I think it was in the 1987 finals, and how that helped Boston seal that series, and how Isaiah Thomas felt. He talked about it that entire summer. And then they go on and win back-to-back championships in 1989 and 1990. I'm pretty sure the disappointment of that for him and the entire team helped them win it the next 2 years. Tragic Magic. Early in that, like, Magic Johnson is one of my favorite players. I loved watching him. But early in his career, during the playoffs, he would come up short, make critical mistakes. In I think it was the 1984 championship, championship run, particularly in Game 7, key turnovers, critical mistakes down the stretch. They started calling him Tragic Magic. Then the Lakers go on to win 5 championships with him, as the point guard. The Sixers being swept, and this is the Sixers early with Dr. J being swept, I think it was in 1982, 4 games straight by LA. And then coming back, and I believe sweeping LA to win Dr. J's at least first championship. Tatum's Boston Celtics losing in the first and second round. Giannis they had the best record in the league, I believe it was in 2020, and they lost in the second round to the Miami Heat. They came back the next year and won the championship, right? Tatum in Boston losing. I think I mentioned this already in the first or second round. My point is, every championship team goes through adversity. They weren't like, oh, we need to trade Isaiah Thomas. He allowed Larry Bird to steal the inbound pass. We need to get rid of Magic Johnson. The last, 4 years, whatever it was, he hasn't been coming up in the playoffs. He's been making critical mistakes. They did talk about separating Tatum and Brown. I'm glad they didn't. Giannis a number one. We just can't get over the hump. So championship teams are made through the fire. And individual players, Isaiah Thomas, Magic Johnson, Giannis, uh, Tatum, they all had to take their bumps and bruises too. There's levels to this, as we look at Brunson. And I said this before the season started. Who's the most pressure on? The most pressure, in my opinion, and I said it, was on Jalen Brunson. He have to show that he can be the best player, not just on an up and coming team, but on a championship contending team where the stakes are higher and the margins are slimmer, particularly when you're playing upper echelon teams. He playing all right, but you can see, in my opinion anyway, some decision making, maybe some leadership stuff. I'm not sure if I'm on that bandwagon yet, but again, the best player on your team, they got to go through the fire too to learn what it takes to be a champion. It doesn't happen on paper. It doesn't happen because you were all NBA the year before. Okay. Tatum went through it. Giannis went through it. Brunson is going to go through it. All these other teams went through it. The Knicks are going to have to go through it. And the Knicks are just, what adversity. They're 40 plus games into their first year of, in my opinion, a relatively long championship window. What adversity have they gone through? Losing 4 out of 5? That ain't nothing when you think about the adversities these championship teams and the best player on the team go through. So I think as a fan base, if we think this is going to be a straight run to the top, we're fooling ourselves. We're fooling ourselves. I'm not saying the Knicks cannot win a championship this season, but the chances are low, right? In my opinion, this is about seeing who this team is, seeing what they need, retooling in the offseason, and continuing to retool until you win it. The Lakers brought in McAdoo, brought in different players over the years, Michael Thomas, to help them win. The Celtics brought in Bill Walton, may he rest in peace, to help them, win a championship. Isaiah, the Detroit Pistons, when they sent out Adrian McDantley and brought in, I forgot his name, McGuire from the Dallas Mavericks. Boston, sending out Marcus Smart. Before this is all said and done, we might just have 3 of the core players on this team. We're in the early part of the window. It is expected that you go through tough times. And quite honestly, we haven't seen anything yet. Before the Knicks actually win the championship, they're going to go through tougher times than just this 4 out of 5 losing streak. Trust me. Now, that doesn't excuse the performance against OKC. And that's what we are going to get into right now. Let me bring in Ajay. Hey, how you doing? Oh, you're on mute.
Sorry, good morning. Yeah, I didn't want to disturb your monologue here because it seems like pretty intense. I had to mute. I didn't want to, I didn't want to disrupt the queen. How are you?
I am doing well, kind of recovering from that from that OKC game. So it was kind of good that we didn't go on yesterday. I think gives us a little more breathing room, a little more perspective than just kind of going in hot, which has its merits as well. So yeah, let's get into it. You can start wherever you like.
Before we get into it, salute to the chat on the early Sunday morning, man. Everybody jumping salute to Wonder Woman, Pierre Moise, Pierre Dirty Dancer, 1B, Walter Blackman, Kareem Grant, Mark S, DK EJ21. Who else am I missing? Olasumbo. Everybody, thanks for rocking with us. And don't forget to hit the like button, man. Do not forget to hit the like button. Well, I like the way you start, but I have to throw a little pebble. Like shout out to Freezy, like I'm put a pebble in your shoe.
Now he be throwing rocks. Okay.
That is all nice and it makes sense what you're saying and all that good stuff. But there are a couple of things that are not similar to what other teams in the past have went through, right? Today's NBA, we have a CBA that limits the teams from improving. And from what I understand, the Knicks are right there at the threshold when they can no longer make moves. So you cannot do a trade with Dallas and get Aguirre and so on and so forth. You can't do those things at this point. So we're pretty much stuck where we are with these pretty much.
If you're willing to give up one of your core, I mean, they gave up a starter to bring in McGuire. So if you're willing to give up a heart, or I'm not saying you should do it, but if you're willing to give up a starter, you can.
Right. And that's where it gets tricky, because giving up a starter now it's almost like hitting the reset button, every time you're rebooting. And then by keep doing this, these guys prime years and their championship window is shrinking. Okay, so it's not the same situation. I understand what you're saying. History, that's nice, but it's not the same thing it's not the same situation.
I think it is, Ajay. Well, the point I'm trying to make is, by the time the Knicks win a championship, this team, as we see it now, this core may not be the core that wins it. That's all I'm saying.
Okay.
That this core may not be you refine your roster over time as you see the team play over the years. And we might have to give up a Bridges. Not that we have to we may find that another player over time may be better than Bridges for us. Or over time, another player may be better for us than OG Anunoby. That's all I'm saying, is that this may not be the final core that wins the championship.
Point well taken. And that I agree with, because one thing I agree with you is like, us Knicks fan, our expectations are always too high. Okay, and this is something that I think both you and I and other members of our panel, shout out to Geoff, Jerrell, Delusional,
Boogie, when he comes on.
J Boog when he comes on. Like, we always tell people, listen, this is, when we doing those predictions, people in the chat, they're like, 62 wins, 63, but we always more conservative and more like,
What did you have?
I think I had them like 2 or 3 more games than they did last year.
Yeah, I had them 47-52. People, 47. The Eastern Conference is changing. I thought they would be better, and
that's the mistake we make every year, right? We have tunnel vision. We only look at the Knicks. We only see other teams when they play against the Knicks. We don't watch other teams when they play, like games that have, if you have league pass them on non-Knicks game nights, flip channel, look at these other teams. So many other teams have gotten so much better around the NBA. It is insane. Like, we improved, definitely. But let's look at a team like OKC. We're nowhere near. OKC is such a good place right now. They have a great starting lineup. They have a great deep bench. Talented young guys that when that starting lineup goes out, you're going to have the next generation of guys that they're going to be just as good as these guys. Okay. And let's not forget, Chet Holmgren is on the bench. He's not even playing, and neither is Caruso. So they actually have reinforcement. As good as they are, they have reinforcement waiting in the wing. Okay. And these guys have been together for a long time, for a few seasons. So there is so much. And let's not forget, like, the amount of draft picks that they have. They still have in the coffin. I mean, it is amazing what they got going on for them. I mean, they're going to be very, very good. They're going to be a top echelon team for the next decade, if not more. Okay. Right. Unless somebody else comes in and like completely mess up what they have going on. But right now they're in a really good position. So our window is much smaller than theirs, obviously. It's unrealistic for us to think that we're the only team that improved and everybody else stayed the same. That's because that just wasn't the case. And we still have moving parts around the league, right? Jimmy Butler's about to go somewhere else. You don't know where he's gonna go. If this guy goes to Milwaukee, all of a sudden Milwaukee becomes a an improved team because they're already improving without him. They're already playing better. You know. But yeah, our expectations are usually too high, and that happens every season.
Yeah. That being said, though, OKC is not 25 points better than the Knicks. And what we saw 2 nights ago, I don't even know what to say about it. I feel like the Knicks are an energized team if their shots are going in. Against OKC, they was making shots. You could feel the kinetic energy through the screen. This game, last two nights ago, we're shooting poorly. We're in a shooting slump. Individual players and team overall, we're in a shooting slump. And the Knicks look dead in the water. They look dead in the water. And you cannot have a team where your energy is tied to whether or not you're hitting shots. That can go at any time. I thought they came in with a lack of urgency. They got punched in the mouth. They didn't respond. And, when we talk about softness, to me, a lot of times as a fan base, we equate softness with style of play. If somebody is a bruising power forward, oh, they tough. If somebody is a finesse player, oh, they soft. But toughness is really about mentality. Toughness, regardless of your style of play, it's about being punched in the mouth, being able to come back. A team beats you. I cannot tell you the night I didn't sleep the night before a payback game. And that was either because the team waxed us or we could have even won, but I lost my matchup. And the person who was defending me got the best of me. I'm chomping at the bit to get back to that game. And I just don't see that. I didn't see that, I should say, against the Knicks. They don't have that sense of they almost like they've been spoon-fed. They feel like they're good enough. I don't need to put out any energy. We'll just lose this game and we'll get the next one, and when it's all said and done, we'll still be there. No. Talk to me a little bit about what you think about the Knicks aside from the shooting slump, just their toughness. What's your take on that?
So before the toughness part, I'm gonna kind of address, like you did talk about toughness, but there are other things in what you just said, right? And the since that game, I don't know, if you've been, we listen to all these podcasts, and Ron was on for about 8 hours yesterday.
Yeah, I saw some of it.
And everybody, like, there were a lot of talks about Tom Thibodeau, right? But you know what? Let me address the toughness first, then we'll jump into that. So the toughness part, I don't think the team is not tough. We play the way the NBA plays. Okay, this is what the NBA is today. As a matter of fact, when it comes to toughness, I think we're probably one of the toughest teams. And the reason why I say that is because we don't get the benefit of the whistle too often, and somehow we manage to grind and play. Because the other teams are usually more aggressive than we are. Maybe I'm saying this because I'm a Knicks fan. Maybe other teams fans see the same thing. I just see that. Listen, even the game that we to OKC, I don't know how many times. I mean, Brunson gets smacked in the face. He's looking at the refs right there. It's not like you don't see it. Josh Hart bleeding, no foul call. Cat is getting, somebody warm up his ribs, like elbow in the rib and all that stuff, and nobody cares. And you just look at Shea Gilgeous-Alexander. You just look at him sideways, they call a foul. You just look at him too hard, and they have a problem with it. Okay, so I don't think we're a soft team at all. I think it's just, that's the way the NBA play. And shout out to those guys, for adjusting to the up and down, the refereeing the way they call every night, because I wouldn't be able to do it. I'd have lost it out there on the court at the ref too. Because shout out to them because it's just so inconsistent that it takes a lot of mental effort for these guys. And somehow Josh Hart gets a technical foul for, I don't even know, maybe the ref didn't like the way he looked at him, But in terms of soft, hard, we're just like the other teams. I mean, there may be 2 or 3 teams in the NBA I could say appear to be tough because they play hard-nosed defense. Orlando Magic being one of them. Like, they play in-your-face defense. They swipe, they punch, they kick, they trip, they do everything. Test the refs to see how far they can get away before they slow down. You know what I'm saying? So I don't think we're soft at all. It's just that we just play the game the way it is today. Okay.
Okay. Go ahead.
Yeah. Now, everybody's Queen. I'm not a fan of Tom Thibodeau. You know that. I don't want him to be fired for the simple fact that if you get rid of him, like, who's coming in at this point in the season? It wouldn't make sense. Logistically, it doesn't make sense to get rid of your coach at this point in the season. Yeah, you bring him in, have a talk to listen. What's the plan here? But having said that, if I wake up tomorrow morning, they get rid of Tom Thibodeau, I'm not going to shed a tear for him. I'm going to be like, hey, man, happy trails. Go on somebody else's bench and be an assistant coach or some sort of coordinator. Okay. Notice I said some sort of coordinator. I don't even want to say defensive coordinator, because that defensive reputation Tibbs have, I don't see that at all in this team. Okay. My problem with this whole coaching stuff, and it's something you just said, right? These guys come in, it's like, we feel we too good. You can lose this game. That has to be with preparation. These guys are not prepared to play the game. It's almost as if they don't go through their scouting report. Like, like, there isn't a scouting report, or if there is one, these guys, like you said, think they're too good. They don't need to look at the scouting report. You see other teams come in, they know what to do. They know what our guys do, and they know how to get in their way. We don't know how to do that to them. Do you know what I'm saying? And we don't know how to so Isaiah Joe, there's not a lot of things he does well, right? But he can shoot. We didn't know that. We didn't know that.
No. The Knicks,
Queen.
The Knicks. It's not even about. First of all, you don't put a player like Isaiah Joe on the scouting report.
Oh,
that's
wrong. That's wrong.
You do not listen.
Okay.
When you're doing your scouting, was Isaiah Joe shooting like that all season?
He's a pretty good shooter. Not all season.
He's a pretty good shooter, but listen, Deuce is not on the scouting report. Like, you might say a little blip about Deuce McBride. You might say a little blip about Isaiah Joe. But players like that, you are banking on your regular defense. You're not putting defensive schemes together for Isaiah Joe. You just, nobody is doing that.
Okay.
Nobody is doing that.
And here's the rebuttal to that, right? You have a scouting report on Isaiah Joe. You don't discuss it before the game because you don't expect him to play, right? But after the first couple of 3-pointers, when you take that timeout in the huddle, you pull out that scouting report and you go over it with your guys. Say, listen, this is what this guy's done. This is how we adjust. We didn't do that. Yes.
No.
Yes, Queens. We there is a scouting report on everybody, everyone, including Jericho.
You don't even need to pull out the scouting report. You could just look at what he's doing in the game and make an adjustment. But I will say this also. Once a player gets hot, it doesn't matter what you do. Once a player gets hot, it doesn't matter what you do. Momentum is underrated in the NBA. And it counts for something.
Our team is in the wrong business. If Isaiah Joe gets hot and there's nothing you can do, then we have a problem.
I mean, what are you gonna do? You're gonna run double teams at Isaiah? You're gonna run double teams at him?
No, single coverage. He had zero coverage. You cover. You put one guy on him. You don't have to double team him. Put one guy on him.
I agree.
We had zero guy on him.
Exactly. But that's the problem with the Knicks defense, period. That's not your regular defense should be able to cover him. He should not have nobody on him. Like that's not an adjustment. That's your regular defense.
Boy,
And that's the problem with the Knicks. The Knicks defense, particularly their 3-point percentage defense, is not good. Teams know that going in. You're going to be able to get up 3-pointers against this team.
then Queen, if you don't, then like I said,
what's the adjustment?
He's one guy's business. Stick with him. Do not. I don't care what you do. Stay with that guy. No,
Okay.
that's the adjustment. That's
Okay.
it.
And then that opens. Listen, and you think? Let's just say they did that. Let's just say they did a boxing one on Isaiah Joe. You don't think that opens up things for the rest of their team? Like, the team is talented. That's a pick your poison team also. So you shut down Isaiah Joe. Now you opening up lanes for. Just, listen, I'm not saying
I agree.
Free. I'm not saying he should be roaming free. I'm just saying that it's not always that easy. We're going to take all our resources. We're going to put it right here. Just keep in mind how that opens things up for Jalen Williams, how that opened things up for Shea, how that opened things up for the rest. This is a pick your poison team that understands how to take advantage of how you're deploying your defense. That's what makes them good. And I'm not making excuses for the Knicks that somebody shouldn't have been playing him closer after he hit. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying that the Knicks aren't good defensively.
Queen,
who are you deploying?
I don't disagree with you. But when you put somebody on it that leaves somebody else, let that somebody else beat you, because this guy he's on the heater, right? So don't allow that guy coming off the bench with 30-something points. All right. Let Shea drive in and hit, mid-range too. But that's every possession that Shea Gilgeous-Alexander to come in and hit a 2-pointer, that's one less point that goes against you instead of Isaiah Joe in 3-pointers. Okay. Mathematically, that's a better plan than leaving that guy wide open that, hitting 30 points,
I'm pretty sure that was said in the timeout. I don't think the Knicks have the personnel. The Knicks are not a good 3-point, perimeter shooting team. I mean, and part of that is schematic as well, because we want to pack it in the paint.
Pack it in the paint against who?
Against Shea. Against,
again, I would give up those mid-range and guard the 3-point line any day.
Okay.
And then another thing is, after last week's game, right? One of the things we complained about, like all of us agreed with that one, is that they put a small guy on Cat, and we didn't keep feeding him the ball until let him go at it. Let him go to work.
We definitely did it more than we did in the first game.
Not enough. Not enough.
I mean, we could have did it more, but I will say this also. When they trap, those are aggressive traps. There was at least two turnovers from Cat with deflections out of the double team. And I'm not saying we shouldn't have did it. We should, but the Knicks energetically just weren't there. They all up into Cat with the double team with a lot of energy, for hands flaring. Boop, 2 turnovers, 2 deflections, 2 turnovers. They're a small team. Nobody's complaining about OKC being small. We small, though, it's a problem. They're small, it's not a problem. It's not about height, it's about talent. They're a small team, but they're a talented team. Jalen Williams looked like he about the same height as Shea, and I think he's playing the 3. Sometimes he played a 4. But those guys are tough as nails. They're physical, one, and tough as nails. For me, toughness is equated with mental toughness. So they're physical and they're mentally tough, right? Yeah. I mean, I think part of it is roster, deploying the roster better, perhaps. I know we'll get into this. There's those in the chat who feel like we need to play more players off the bench, or we need to play in more minutes. I'll tell you what, though, There's certain games, 2 minutes is too long to put a player that's not up to par in there. Yeah, this is a tough balancing act between stretching the rotation, and in a game like OKC, making sure you have your best players in there to give yourself the best chance to win.
Yeah.
Let me just get to some of them. This
Super
team
chat.
needs some edge. I like that. They all too laid back. Some edge. I like that. Yeah, I said dig down this the other night, but yeah, I like to play with an edge. And we don't.
And as much as I say, coaching has to do, the team needing edge, that should, I mean, these guys are professionals, man. Like you really don't need a coach to give you that edge. You know what I'm saying? So it's really it's a little bit of both. Yes, the coach got to get them ready. They got to go through the videos, to the scouting reports, to like every player, what they could do, what they like to do, and so on and so forth. And in the huddle, they got to make the adjustment. Talk to those guys, but those guys got to go in the game ready every time. And like you're getting paid $30 million. You don't need them. You don't need tips to tell you to get ready, man.
Yeah, I agree with that. Would you look at that? Hukporti can play, needs minutes. I hear you. Jason Benjamin, fans need to realize that we are not going to be a good defensive team due to 2 subpar defenders, Brunson, Cat. It is what it is. Lowers some expectations. Yeah. I think Brunson is an average defender. I don't think he's as poor a defender as we make him out to be. Cat, in terms of rim protection, we've talked about this before. There's different parts of defense. As far as a rim protector, no. But I saw him out there, I forgot what game it was, defending on the perimeter, moving his feet. Some of it has to be buy-in. This same Knick team that played defense against OKC, where's that team? When we were in OKC, I should say. Where's that team? So, some of it is, the Knicks just don't have the personnel. And I mean, that's partly true, but I think part of it also is just that the Knicks haven't bought in on the defensive end. They really haven't bought into the importance of it. They'll tell you that, we need to be better defensively. Our offense is good. We got to work on the defense. But I think it's just lip service. I don't think they are committed to the defensive end. They're not. I think they're okay. You don't even see them flying out at guys who are open for 3. You don't even see them flying around. You move the ball 2 passes, you got an open 3-point shot. And that's something that's gonna change. It has to change, I should say. Altry Waters is losing his or her patience with Thibodeau.
He's not going anywhere. I don't think he's going anywhere this season. So just brace yourself if you're losing.
But I don't think he should. I think this is another thing with the fan base. When the Knicks are doing well, Tom Thibodeau is good. First of all, he's making the same decisions. It's just that when it works and we're winning, he's good. You see how much better he's getting? You see how he's deploying the rotation? You see how he's doing this? The Knicks lose. He's not making adjustments. He's not deploying. And he's doing the same thing. He's a creature of habit. He's doing the same thing whether we win or lose. It's the fan base going up and down with Tom Thibodeau. Tom Thibodeau is a very good coach, in my opinion. These other coaches who've won championship, he hasn't won a championship, neither did Spoelstra until he got Dwayne Wade and LeBron and Shaq. Malone wasn't a championship coach until he won a championship. None of these guys were championship coaches until they won a championship. Tom Thibodeau is a good coach. Yes, he has certain things that I don't like, or I feel like, and my caveat to all of this is I'm not privy to all of the information that goes into his decision making, right? Us as a fan base, we're on the outside. We don't have all of the information that goes into it. We so I'm saying all of this with a caveat. But yeah, I mean, I would like to see him. Certain games, you got to play your starters big minutes. That's just the bottom line. I was listening to Sirius XM radio with Brian Scalabrine. He used to play for the Celtics. He's now an announcer for them. He also has a show, and he said, and he said it's nuanced. This whole game thing, playing time thing, is nuanced. When you're playing the good teams, you could put a player that's not up to par in for 30 seconds, and that could be the difference in the game. So when you're playing these good teams, you have to play your best players as many minutes as they can handle. Now, there'll be other games where you'll be able to get away with using your bench a little more. And I think that's what Tom Thibodeau can do better. In these However, when you look at how rocky these Knicks are against teams that's not even upper echelon, you have to wonder. But yeah, he could do better, kind of stretching the bench, giving them more minutes against teams that are supposedly not that, not that good. I think he can do better when we're up 15 or down 15 with under 5 minutes left. Even though I don't know, under 3 minutes, or whatever the cutoff is. Just kind of getting those guys out. Sometimes you can look at the energy of the play, and that's what Skaggs said. You can look at the energy of a team and just say, you know what? Yes, it's possible we can come back in the next 5 minutes, but looking at the energy of this team, chances are we not. And just pull your guys. He could definitely do a better job in that respect. But let's not act like our bench is OKC bench. Let's not act like there isn't a drop-off when the bench comes in. There is. So for me, I'm just looking to buy minutes. Can we get an extra 2 minutes out of Precious? Can we get an extra 2 minutes out of Shamet to give OG a little more rest? That's kind of how I'm seeing it. I'm not looking at, play your bench. That's what OKC is doing. Nah, we don't have OKC's bench. But I still think Tom Thibodeau could do better in that regard. Now, the one other thing I want to say before I pass this over to Ajay, Skaggs made a good point. Brian Scalabrine, they call him Skaggs. Brunson is playing 35 minutes, or 34 points on about 35. Cat's playing about 35. He said your best players are going to play between 35 and 37 minutes. Like Tatum is like at 36 to 37. The Joker is at 36 to 37. Shea is at 35. Your best players are going to play between 35 and 37 minutes. He said, but all minutes aren't created equal. 36 minutes for a bruising center is not the same as 36 minutes for a 3-and-D guy who don't play D, and all they're doing is running to the corner, standing there, waiting for a pass. That player can play 38, 39 minutes. Like, how much energy are they expending in a game? So it's not as simple as this guy is playing this many minutes. It's how much energy expenditure is that guy putting that out in their role? Like, role players don't have the ball in their hand. They could probably play more minutes than the starters, whose usage is heavy and they're involved on every single play. So in other words, minutes, 36 minutes ain't 36 minutes for everybody. And I thought that was, a good point. And I agree with Ajay. Tom Thibodeau is not getting fired this season. The fact that I think the Knicks fans, we as up and down as the Knicks themselves. So now 9-game winners, now we got, Tib should get fired. Like, I'm not going up and down with this fan base on Thibodeau. He's the coach. He's going to be the coach this season. I don't think he's getting fired in the offseason under any there's no chance, in my opinion, zero chance that he gets fired in the offseason, no matter what happens in the playoffs. And that's good because teams need to go through shit. Teams need to go through losing in the first or second round, like Milwaukee, like Boston, and work through it. That's how you get better as a team, working through the tough stuff. Go ahead. I see you start something that somebody said.
No,
about
there's a couple of things.
Go ahead.
We have another super chat. I don't think you went over it.
Go ahead. No, go ahead. You can do it.
Thibs ain't going. Shout out to Jason Benjamin, said Thibs ain't going nowhere, but the seat will get warm. I don't even think the seat will
fan base. It'll get warm
by the fan base. Like I think the front office is pretty comfortable with what they have here. So shout out to Sherwin, who's says, you know, you about the stars on the scouting report. There's another one. He says, I'm talking foolishness. Queen might ban him, and so on and so forth. I disagree. There is a scouting report on every player in the NBA. They don't go through them, but the scouting team, that's their job. They don't hire a whole scouting team paid $1 million just to have a scouting report on the 5 starters. There's a scouting report on Jericho. There's a scouting report on Jericho Sims. I guarantee you. Do the teams go over it? No. Because Jericho Sims played 30 seconds a game. Okay, so they're not going to spend time going on his scouting report. But there is one every player in the NBA. There's a scouting report on guys in the G League, by the way, Sherwin, since you know so much. Okay, there's a scouting report on those guys playing the G League. Okay, so
but I think what he's saying is you don't put them on a scouting report prior to a game. Like those are not the players you're focusing on.
But it's available. So if you need to get in, if you need in during a timeout at halftime, you pull that scouting report and say, guys, this is what this guys can do. So there is one for everybody in the NBA.
Yeah, but you don't need to pull it. You seeing it. You don't need to pull it. You seeing what he's doing, and then you could just make the adjustment. But I hear you. I hear you.
All right. Well, that's it. So let's.
Did we get that last super chat? We did, right?
Yeah, we did. That was from Jason Benjamin. Shout out to Jason Benjamin.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, shout out to Boogie. Let's.
Oh yeah.
Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. 3 capital G's. Shout out to my family, Nick family. Blessed health, life, and happiness. It's Sunday. We still got to hit that like button. Salute, salute, salute. 3 capital S's. Yeah. No doubt. Anything else?
Well, I mean, there is today's game, and then there is so today's game, 3 o'clock game. It's not Friday night Knicks, so there's, you know, we have a better, so the Keith Turner. It's not Friday night Knicks, so we have a better our odds are better. Don't matter who's playing, because people for some reason think those Friday night Knicks games are not in our favors. I don't know why, but I think we have the same chance of winning every game. No matter what day we play or what time we play. Some people think those matinees are not favorable to us.
Right.
I don't know why. I mean, it's the same for the other team.
Yeah.
You know, so today's game is at 3 o'clock. We play in Milwaukee, a Milwaukee team that's 20-15. I don't know.
Had a bad start, and
they had a bad start, right? I don't know what they're the last 10. What are they on a streak? What are they on? Let me see. Milwaukee. Hold on. Right now they 4th. They right behind us. Yeah. Oh, Orlando Magic. So they won their last 3 games, and they're 6-4 in the last 10. Queen, I don't know. What do you expect to see today? Do you expect to see an angry, motivated, energized Knicks team, or another lay down, spank me team like we saw on Friday?
You know what? To be honest, I don't even know. But it's going to tell me what I see. It's going to tell me a lot about who they are. You know, and Josh Hart said that, you know, we have to figure out what type of team we are. And I'm looking to see what kind of team are the Knicks. Are they going to bounce back today and play better? Are they going to commit on the defensive end? Sure, they don't have great defensive personnel outside of Bridges and OG, who haven't been great. Like we talking about, it's impossible with Cat, but I don't think Mikal Bridges. I mean, he's gotten better. but I don't think he's where we, where he thought he would be on the defensive end.
Queen, I want to bring this up. So Ruben Nunez, right? And shout out for saying this. So Brunson has to realize that he is number 2 now. Cat is the best option on offense, right? Sort of, in some days it might not be Cat, some days but overall he's like our top offensive player right now, right? So when we played OKC, right, and this is something we discussed in just Nicking It or the post game show last time. OKC was a game that Cat should have been like featured. He should have been the primary, not just run the offense through him, but he should have been the featured guy, right? This game, however, is not that game. Playing Milwaukee is probably one of the teams that you run the offense through Cat. I mean, he's capable of doing well, but it's a tougher matchup for him than OKC was.
Right.
The matchups, it's just a little bit tougher for him. So this is a game where we should know that we could run the offense to him, but he doesn't have to be the featured player like he really should have been at OKC.
Particularly if they put Giannis on him. But I think it comes back, Ajay, to figuring out what's the defense giving you, and just recognizing that, coming into the game, if they do this, we're going to do that. If they do this, then we're going to do that. But also in the game, where's the mismatch? And getting back to this past OKC game, I thought Brunson came out like, yo, what you doing? He just came out for like the first 10 possessions going 1-on-5. Like, what are you do? Like, run the offense. Like, yeah, I didn't quite get that. I need Brunson to just kind of, you're gonna have plenty of opportunities to score the ball. And again, I don't think he's stat padding. I think he really believes that I need to be aggressive. I need to show up tonight, and I need to be there for my team. He's not a selfish player. Right. But his thought process, when do we go to Cat? When do we go to me? Once you go to Cat, they start sending a lot of plays to him. That's going to open things up for you. It can happen the other way around, but against that OKC team, you ain't gonna be able to just crack them up and get into the lane like that. So I just need him to be a little more in control. His floor game needs to be sharper. That's it. His floor game needs to be sharp. I don't know if it matters who's number 1 or number 2. Where's the mismatch?
Right. And it could be OG Anunoby, and even playing OKC hard. Josh Hart had a mismatch. He had Isaiah Hartenstein on him. So it varies with every game, and we have to be able. You're right. You have to be able to take advantage of them, of the mismatches. And
let's get these out the way since we went back to the chat before because once we move on to Milwaukee, these are going to be irrelevant.
Which ones?
All those teams change coach. Yeah. Listen, when I said earlier that this may not be the core that wins the championship for the Knicks, Tom Thibodeau may not be the coach that's at the helm when the Knicks win the championship. So I agree with you, East Blue True, but I don't think those teams change coaches the first year of their championship window. But over time, yeah, the front office made a decision that I don't think this is the coach. So absolutely, I'm not saying Tom Thibodeau is going to see this through and he's not going to ever get fired. I'm just thinking the chances are slim to none that he gets fired after the first year. Kevin Bergens, I disagree. If we slip and just play awful and injury isn't the reason, then he's gone. Now, that won't happen, but it's possible. I think he has some cushion with Leon Rose that he may survive it if that is the case. And I'm okay with that because I believe There's other teams who lost in the first or second round and came back and were successful. That's part of the championship run, disappointment and getting through it.
Well, and the other thing is, Queen, when you, as Leon Rose, as the front office, right? When you start firing your coach because you're not getting the results you want, right? And God forbid you bring another coach, you're still not getting the result. You know what that says? It's time for you to go. So I don't know if Leon Rose won't even start that process of getting rid of his coach, because he's next in line. Because you bring somebody here and then you get the same results or worse. So then now the owner is going to look at you like, well, it ain't the coach, it's the product you putting out on the floor. Yeah. So, I mean, that's, I don't want to say that's last resort, but that's the way I see it, especially with the relationship they have. So,
yeah, that's fair. Nostalgic Nick, y'all said this team was championship team. Now we got to wait. Yeah. Listen, being a championship contender doesn't mean you win the game, win the championship in the first year. Boston didn't win it in the first year. Milwaukee didn't. Denver didn't. Washington Knicks won it in the first year. Yeah, you're going to have to wait. Championship teams are built. Even once you get that roster and you get in the conversation, you still have to build it. Escape artist Tibbs' job is on the line, especially if he's bounced in the first round or has a poor performance in the second round. We shall see. We shall see.
We got a couple of super chats.
Shout out to Altery Walters for the super sticker. I appreciate that. And if you guys can do me a favor, I'm gonna get the link right now and put it in the chat. I would like to stream to Facebook, but you need 100 subscribers to do that, and I think I'm about 20 short. So if you guys could subscribe to Dope Soul Sports Talk on Facebook. Did I say YouTube? On Facebook.
Facebook.
Yeah. Then I can stream to them. Go ahead, Ajay. You could take care.
Now it's gonna another super chat. Shout out to Walter Blackman, $9.99 super chat. Didn't say anything, but thank you for that, and thank you for rocking with us on a Sunday morning, man.
Yeah,
it's awesome. It's a pop-up show. Just based on notification. There's so many guys. Don't forget to hit the like button. Queen, I don't know if we went over this already. Jason Benjamin, thank you for $2 super chat. Says, would you look at that? Huck Porty can play. He needs minutes.
I'm okay. I'm okay with playing Huck Porty
over Sims. I have no problem with that.
Yeah, the only thing I will say is it's not just about the counting stats. It's also about being where you're supposed to be on the court. That's a part of it as well. So I've had players who in a game, they come out, they got 10 points, 6 rebounds, and I'm like stressed out because they putting so much pressure on our offense and defense because they're not where they're supposed to be. So I'm okay, with him playing more minutes, but let's just hope, we can say what we want to say about Sims. He's where he's supposed to be. Offensively, it's an adventure, but defensively, he's where he's supposed to be. So,
he's saying he's in the right place, but don't know what to do. While being in the right place, he just don't know what to do. While he's just
perhaps on the offensive end, it's just always an adventure with him on the offensive end. Yeah, it's just
Shout out to Andrew K. Knicks have toughest strength of schedule the rest of the season. Tom needs to extend his rotation.
Yeah, we've been talking about this, but that's the thing, though.
Who do you?
When you play the tough teams, you need your best players in there. So only point I'm trying to make is that it's a balancing act. That's the only thing I'm not disagreeing with Knicks fans. I'm just saying it's a balancing act. You're playing tougher teams. Usually when you're playing tougher teams, your best players have to play more because when you go to the bench and there's a significant drop off, it's possible that you lose the lead. Or if you didn't have a lead it's a larger lead, you know? So I'm just saying that's just that has to be part of the decision-making process. That, yeah.
Okay.
Maybe what we need is not even on the team. You know?
Shout out to Escape Artist says the Magic player says Tibbs is predictable. He's not going to surprise us. In fact, I read somewhere that that KCP after that game says, "Listen, Tibbs, you know his rotation is going to be 8 men, so you have a better chance of beating the Knicks if you play them the 8 guys. If you throw like 10, 11 guys at them, play them really tough the first 3 quarters. Then by the fourth quarter, you have a good chance of beating them because of their low energy."
Right. But that's predictable in terms of rotations, and that's fair. But I will say in terms of predictability in offense, every team is predictable. Every team is heavily scouted. You know what every team is going to do on the offensive end. You know what every team is going to do defensively. Like, there are no surprises. So this idea that, we need to come up with a different, inbounds play to catch them by surprise. We need to come up with a wrinkle on. Okay, you may catch them by surprise for 1 or 2 possessions, but they're going to adjust. Like, there's no surprises in the NBA. You got to go out and you got to play. Right. And I'm not talking about the rotations, which Ajay was talking about. I'm just talking about in terms of the element of surprise when it comes to the offense, or the element of surprise. There's no element of surprise. Every team knows what the other team is going to do. Who's going to do it better?
I don't know about that, Queen. Isaiah Joe coming off the bench and scoring more than 30 to me was a bit of a surprise.
Okay. He got hot though. That's a player getting hot. Did they run a different offense? Or did he get his in the flow of the offense? He got his in the flow of the offense. The Knicks 3-point shooting defense isn't good.
Yeah. We have another super chat. Shout out to the art man formerly known as Steve. Thank you for the $9.99 super chat.
Appreciate you.
Morning, guys. God bless. The change I believe is needed is Josh Hart to the bench. What the bench needs is what Hart is trying to do with the starting lineup: passing, rebounding, and driving. We talked about that. We've spoken about that a few times early on this season, right? And I was one of the guys who liked the idea of Josh Hart coming off the bench. Okay. But because I feel that, not because he's not good, but I still, there's a structural problem with Josh Hart playing the 4 in the starting lineup.
He's not playing the 4. OG is playing the 4.
I'm sorry. For him playing the 3 and OG playing the 4, if you had a real 4, OG would be playing the 3. You're right. Thank you for that. And it's not that Josh Hart is playing well. He's played well overall. So it's not him, right? Having said that, and Artman, I'm guessing when you say Josh Hart coming off the bench, you mean you probably want Precious Achiuwa to start at the 4. Which again, I like Precious Achiuwa on the team. Quinn, you know that. Like, I root for him and I want him to do well.
The president.
But we have to be honest. When you watch the game, Precious Achiuwa seems like he's playing well. He seems like he's doing things. There's a couple of little flaws he has. Like, he misses a lot of bunnies, like right under the basket. He be missing like the simplest putbacks and stuff like that. All that. But here's the problem with Precious Achiuwa. As well as it seems like he's playing. When you look at the stats, when you look at the plus minus, he's generally a minus, no matter what lineup you put him in. I don't know why. I have no idea. Like, I don't know. Well, I don't know enough to analyze this data to see why his plus minus is like 9 out of 10 times is in the negative. And that's with different lineups. So for that, before I go and say, you know what, pull out Josh Hart and put Precious at the 4 and move OG to the 3, I would really look at that like a little bit more to see the reason why he's always a negative in the plus minus column.
Yeah, yeah. And I think Hart is still going to play the same amount of minutes. Like when we talk about moving somebody to the starting lineup, I always think about this guy is now about to play 25 to 35 minutes. But I think Josh Hart, if you move him to the bench, he's still going to play the same amount of minutes that he's playing now.
Right.
He's still going to close games over Precious. So Precious may be in that starting lineup for what, 5-6 minutes before Josh Hart comes in. So I think if you think starting Precious helps us with our starts, get off to better starts, okay, I can see that. But I don't think Precious is going to play starters minutes. I think he's going to still play the minutes that he's playing now. And Hart is still going to play the minutes he's playing now. You're just kind of switching it around. And when you look at how we play our bench with starters anyway. It's not like, we're putting now last night the last game we did, like that was the first time I saw all four starters and four bench players and one starter. But we don't usually do that. Like we usually play 3 starters, 2 bench players. Like we kind of mix it up. So when we say the bench, they in there with starters anyway.
Mm-hmm.
They in there with starters anyway. I do think some changes are going to be on the horizon, though, and that could be Josh Hart. That could be playing Hawkporty more. I do think there's going to be some changes. There's a long enough runway now. Tibbs has enough stats right now, to look at the off-on numbers and figure out if a chance should be made. Salute, Young on. Is that it? I hope I got that right. Okay, gotcha. Do we want to move on to today's game before we get out of here?
Yeah. Today's game. So, like I mentioned earlier, it's a 3 o'clock game, so it's not a super matinee. It's not a noon game. So relax, people. The guys have an extra 3 hours to prepare for the game, but so does the Milwaukee Bucks. Listen, it's not gonna be a game like OKC, and OKC, and I don't want to go back to that game really, but there are a lot of things that didn't go our way. Okay. So it's not gonna be that kind of game for the simple fact that you're not gonna have OG Anunoby and Mikal Bridges shooting 1 for 1,000. That's just not gonna happen on this game. Okay. And that's another thing about the last game. A lot of people say, well, Brunson, he didn't distribute the ball. He didn't have a lot of assists. Well, he didn't have a lot of assists because the guys weren't hitting the shots. He's passing the ball. The guys just weren't hitting. That's why the assist is a 2-part stat. So you really, Quinn, I hate
it. It was a bad shooting night for the Knicks.
Right. So if it's a bad shooting night, it's gonna seem like the ball's not moving, but the ball, it wasn't moving. The guys just weren't hitting their shots. So the assist stat looks like it was low, but not because they weren't passing the ball. So I don't expect today's games to be that. I don't know. Of course, I always expect the Knicks to win games. Like we're right now, we have been playing better than Milwaukee Bucks. Not taking into consideration the strength of the opponent. Okay. So based on our record, we are a slightly better team than them. So, and we're fairly healthy. I expect us to have a good game, and I expect us to win this game, especially coming off of the performance we gave on Friday. So you expect the players to have a little extra motivation, because listen, they hear the chatter. They're online, they're on social media, they know what's going on, they know what's being said, and they have pride, and I expect them to come out with more fire to play today's game. Okay.
Yeah. So yeah. Like I said, I don't know which Knick team is going to show up. but I'm interested to see, because that's going to tell me a lot about them, And listen, you can lose to OKC. OKC is better. You can lose to Boston. Boston is better. You can lose to Cleveland. Cleveland is better. But how you're losing tells the story. And
Yep.
that's the issue with the Knicks, how they are losing. So it's going to be really interesting to see what's their energy level like. If they get punched in the mouth in the first quarter, are they going to lay down? Or are they going to fight? Even if you lose, you got to fight. That's what I'm not seeing in these Knicks.
Right.
Fight to the end. And again, this is not last year's team. But again, you don't have to be the same player to have that same attitude that we're going to keep coming. We're going to keep coming. We're never out of a game. We're never out of a game. You can still have that same attitude even if you're a different player. Have a different style of play. And I don't see that in the Knicks.
Well, let's see how they come out today. And somebody in the chat mentioned you in the first few minutes you'll be able to tell what kind of team you have. So hopefully they come out with a little bit of fire. Like Clyde would say, no fire and desire. Let's hope they come out with fire and desire.
And also, we haven't talked about it much today. The Knicks have not been shooting well. And I forgot, I don't know if we got to, let me see, somebody said it in the comments that this is a make or miss league. I don't see it. I thought I started. I don't even see the starred. All I'm seeing is I don't even see the starred comments. Anyway,
I think
somebody said it.
No, because we went through all the stars, I think.
Oh, okay. Somebody said it earlier. This is a make or miss league, and the Knicks have not been shooting well. And if you're going to win in this league, you're going to have to make shots. So all of the other stuff is relevant too. The energy level, they're getting punched in the mouth. They're not coming back. But it's hard to come back when you're not shooting well. Bridges was 0 for 9 in that game. OG was what, 1 for 8, I think he got a few baskets toward the end, but when it really counted, he was like 1 for 8. Brunson didn't shoot well. You're gonna lose if you don't shoot well, and that may have had a lot to do with why it was a 25-point game. That was some of it. The effort was some of it as well. The Knicks have to get back to. They have nothing to fall back on. They're not a offensive rebounding juggernaut where they're going to get a lot of second chance opportunities. They're not a good defensive player where they're going to put together multiple stops in a row. They need to hit their shots, and that's one of the more volatile parts of the game is shooting. They'll probably put Giannis on Cat, so it's going to be interesting to see Brunson's floor game. That's what I'm looking at. I'm looking at how they respond energetically, has the shooting rebounded, and Brunson's floor game. He just has to be better.
Maybe, or they could put Lopez on Cat.
I think they're going to put Lopez on Hart, and I think they're going to put Giannis on Cat. But if they do put Lopez on Cat, do we take advantage of it? Do we take advantage of it?
I mean, the way to take advantage of it, in my opinion, is have a Cat drive. Lopez can't keep up.
You don't want him to do.
No, so listen. If it's an advantage, but that's the advantage we have if they put Lopez on, like nothing else really.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we're gonna see. They have a few people who can, call. It's not going to be Dame on Brunson, obviously. It's not going to be Brunson on Dame, obviously. So I think they have a rookie, if I'm not mistaken, or a second-year player in their starting lineup who kind of takes on the tough defensive assignment. So he'll probably be
on Brunson. and they'll hide. No, what you said they're gonna. No, I think they'll hide Dame on Josh Hart.
Yeah, they may. Yeah. Do we take advantage of that? Like, would you take Dame into the post? Like back in the day, that's what they would do. You had a mounts in the house over and over and over. They would just go and take advantage of it.
Yeah. Is that really an advantage though?
You don't think Hart in the post over? Wow, I think so. Nostalgic Nick said, "Cat, Josh has no bag." I hear you. I hear you. I hear you.
I want to say it like that, but that's what I'm saying. Man, shout out to the people rocking with us, Queen. There's like so many people, man. Y'all need to hit the like button. There's almost 200 people watching. There's almost 200 people watching and not even 50 likes. Come on, man. Come on. You got people
even if you don't like, hit the thumbs down. It's about engagement, whether you like it or not. It's about engagement. So if you're not feeling it, hit the thumbs down.
You got people rocking with us since we started. DKEJ21, Pierre Moise, Kareem Grant, Wonder Woman, 1B, like, and then it kept on coming, Queen. If we spend here another hour, man, unfortunately,
we gotta go.
It's gonna be a short show.
We
said it was gonna be a 1 hour show.
Yeah, 2 Knicks chicks might be on as well. So when you guys finish here, go over to 2 Knicks chicks, check them out. They usually go on at 11.
No, I didn't see it. I didn't see. Oh, and they usually send out a half hour prior reminder. So.
Okay, maybe they running late if they're not on yet. But we're about to
log off. So
we're about to get off.
Yeah, switch over to 2 Knicks chick, man. Show that support, and their stuff is like it's great content. Great content, man. Shout out to Lady and the Chef and Diva Locks, man. Lady and the Chef, she's like super honest with her take.
Yeah, no doubt about it. She'll be on it Monday on the Queen's Court. Me, her, Geoff, and Tony Crow from Knicks and Bruises. And you're right, she's not pulling any punches, and that's good.
She definitely not the pom pom squad like you like to call.
DX Relish in the house, 76ers fan.
Oh, shout out to DX Relish, man. How your Sixers doing, man? I
think they finally climbed over 500.
Did they?
Yeah, they might have. Salute to Kevin Bergen, 718 Fresh.
Queen, no, they didn't.
They didn't. Where they at now?
15 and 21.
What?
Yeah.
Oh,
they outside
Relish.
DX Relish, man. They outside of the play-in right now.
Okay. Knicks 100 at GM. Appreciate Deuce is a role player. He is a role player. I mean, everybody that comes off the bench is a role player. Josh Hart is a role player. Escape Artist, I appreciate you. Sharon was in the building. I appreciate you. Wonder Woman. I'm not going to be able to get to East Blue Drew. DKEJ21 was in the building early. Mac F. Green, Aunt, my brother, appreciate you. Alasambo, I hope I got that right. Walter Blackman, Juan B. Dirty Dancer. I like that. Appreciate you. Wesley Robinson.
Nostalgic Nick, Coolest, Knicks 100 at GM, Sherwin, Keith Turner, East Blue Drew, 718 Fresh. I mean, go on and
Mike
on. Escape Artist,
on Dios, NYK, my guy. I met him in Washington.
Escape Artist. Escape Artist. I mean, it's heavy in here today, man. You'll hit the like button.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I'm liking these Sunday shows. I might have to figure something out. I'm kind of liking these Sunday shows. All right. Any last words?
Hey man, let's take care of business today. Let's get back on the winning tracks. Let's just take care of business today because we have, this is time for this team to let people know that they're serious. They're not a fluke.
Right.
Okay, at the beginning of the season was not a fluke because we were playing the quote unquote weaker teams. Okay, so let's show it. Let's show some toughness here and some pride. So we play the Bucks today. We play Detroit tomorrow. 76ers on Wednesday. And we welcome Julius Randle and Dante DiVincenzo, who's been playing lights out the past few games. So they here on Friday.
Oh wow. Yeah, okay.
It's an interesting week.
It's an interesting week. The Knicks have an opportunity to make some hay.
Oh yeah, we need to start it right today. You know,
nostalgic Knick Sunday Soul. Don't get me started with a play on words, because I definitely was looking for a title for the show, a Sunday show. Yeah, I'll figure it out. Until next time, family. Peace.
Sister, you one of a kind.
Yes.
Oh, sister, it's time you
That's
shine. Don't so.
Where you at? Where you at?
Don't so.
Where you at? Where you at?
Don't so.